McLaren wins the Constructors' Championship. Ferrari finished second. But when the prize checks were handed out, Ferrari walked away with $112 million more than the champions, $277 million for second place, $165 million for the title. That's not a glitch. It's not corruption. It's not even an oversight. That is the system, working exactly as designed. And once you understand why it works this way, you'll never watch a Formula One race the same way again. To understand what's actually happening inside F1's economy, you need to go back to one man, one insight, and one question nobody else in motorsport was asking. His name was Bernie Ecclestone, and sometime in the mid-1970s, he figured out something that should have been obvious, but wasn't. Formula One wasn't selling a sport. It was selling a television signal. Think about what that meant. Every other league was obsessing over ticket sales, grandstands, gate revenue. Bernie was building broadcast deals. He licensed F1's signal to European networks, then Asian networks, then everyone. By the time he finally sold in 2017, F1 had broadcast partnerships in over 180 countries. It was the third most watched sporting event on Earth. But underneath that success, a problem was quietly compounding. F1's average viewer was 40 years old. The fan base was aging and not replacing itself. And in the United States, the single largest advertising market on the planet, F1 was essentially invisible. So in 2017, an American media company called Liberty Media paid $8 billion for the rights to find out what happened if you ran Formula One like a modern entertainment franchise. That question and that bet is what we're here to unpack. Formula One's revenue runs on 4 layers. Almost everyone outside the paddock only knows about the first one. Layer 1, hosting fees. Every country that wants a Grand Prix on the calendar pays for the privilege. Saudi Arabia, approximately $55 million per year. Azerbaijan, $55 million. Qatar, China, Bahrain, Abu Dhabi, each in the $40 to $55 million range. 24 races. Total annual hosting fee revenue, approximately $700 million before a single car leaves the garage. But here's the nuance. Las Vegas paid no hosting fee because Liberty Media didn't just sell that slot, they co-promoted it. They own the event rights. The result of that one decision, 1.8 billion social media impressions from a single race weekend. Liberty wasn't just selling real estate on the calendar, they were buying leverage in their highest growth market. Layer 2, media rights. In 2018, ESPN paid $0 for US broadcast rights, free, because the American audience simply wasn't there yet. By 2023, ESPN was paying $90 million per year. In October 2025, Apple signed a 5-year deal at a reported $140 to $160 million per year, a 56% premium over ESPN's final rate. Across more than 50 broadcast partnerships globally, media rights now represent over 30% of F1's total annual income, more than $1.1 billion against a total 2025 revenue base of $3.87 billion. For context, when Liberty bought F1 in 2017, total revenue was roughly $1.8 billion. They've nearly doubled the top line in 8 years without adding a single new car to the grid. Layer 3, the hidden money. This is the layer nobody in the grandstand sees. A Paddock Club weekend pass, $6,000 to $16,000 per person. Monaco's floating hospitality suites, 6 figures per weekend. Then there's intellectual property. EA Sports holds an active F1 gaming license, extended through 2027. Terms undisclosed, but gaming rights in sports are valued in the tens of millions annually. F1 Arcade, the real-world venue chain with simulator bays and premium bars, generated $43 million in revenue in 2024 from entertainment venues using the brand. F1 isn't a sport with a merchandise stand. It's a content platform, a licensing engine, and a luxury entertainment brand that happens to run races, which brings us to the piece that makes all of this possible. Layer 4, the Concorde Agreement, first signed in 1981, now in its 9th version, ratified December 12, 2025. The Concorde Agreement is, in simple terms, the commercial constitution of Formula One. It governs how revenue is split between the sport and its teams, and its most important feature is something most fans have never thought about. It creates a guaranteed financial floor for every team on the grid. Last year, the total prize pool distributed to the 10 teams, $1.4 billion. This is why McLaren won the championship, and Ferrari earned more. Ferrari's participation agreement includes a heritage bonus, 5% of the total prize pool, approximately $63 million in 2025, guaranteed every year, win or lose. Sauber finishing last, $63.1 million. Williams in 9th, $77.2 million. No F1 team walks away empty-handed. That guaranteed return is what makes an F1 franchise slot worth buying in the first place. And understanding that changes everything about how you should think about team ownership. Let me give you a framework that makes all of this click. Imagine you own a McDonald's franchise. You pay an upfront franchise fee, you follow the operational playbook, you use the brand's systems, and in return, McDonald's sends you customers. Because 70 years of marketing have trained billions of people to trust the golden arches before they walk through your door. You're not buying a restaurant, you're buying access to a pre-built demand machine. Now substitute McDonald's for Formula One. The franchise fee is your team entry cost. The operational playbook is the Concorde Agreement, and the demand machine, a global fan base of 827 million people, up 63% from the 503 million Liberty inherited in 2017. But here's where the F1 analogy breaks in the most interesting direction possible. McDonald's franchise values plateau, F1 team valuations compound. In 2018, Force India was acquired out of administration, essentially bought off the scrap heap, for approximately $90 million. That same team, rebranded as Aston Martin F1, was valued by Forbes in 2025 at $3.3 billion. $90 million to $3.3 billion in 6 years, without winning a single world championship. That is not a sports business. That is a compounding asset engine wearing a racing helmet. Theory is clean, data is better. Let's look at the receipts. In 2021, after a 36-year absence, Formula One returned to Zandvoort, Netherlands. One reason? Max Verstappen. 105,000 tickets, sold out at record pace. Hospitality packages up to 18,000 euros per person. Local economic impact from a single race weekend. First year, a 9-figure number. Over $100 million injected into the Dutch economy from a 2-day event. One driver created a race. One race created a market. That market now generates 9 figures annually. That's not sports. That's market activation at scale. Max Verstappen earns approximately $55 million per year. The car he drives costs $12 million to build. Across 24 races, that's $2.4 million per race start, or roughly $45,000 per minute of wheel-to-wheel racing. By any standard, that's extraordinary money. But here's the number that reframes it completely. In the NBA, players receive 50% of league revenue under the collective bargaining agreement. The NFL, 48%. These are negotiated, codified revenue shares for the people who are the product. The entire F1 driver grid, 20 drivers, the faces, personalities, and global superstars of the sport, collectively earned approximately $268 million in base salaries in 2024 on $3.2 billion in revenue. That's 8.4%, 8 cents of every dollar. And yet, Lewis Hamilton's presence in the sport raised Petronas brand awareness in Southeast Asia by 23 percentage points over 4 years. There is no salary figure that captures that value. The drivers aren't just competing, they are brand territory, each one unlocking a new geographic market, a new demographic, a new commercial partner. F1 is not paying for performance, it's paying for existence, and it's getting a deal. In 2018, F1's average US audience, 554,000 viewers per race. Then Drive to Survive launched on Netflix. The sport's politics, personalities, and drama compressed into bingeable seasons for a streaming audience who had never watched a race in their life. By 2023, 1.1 million viewers per race, a 99% increase in 4 years. ESPN, in their final contract year, set all-time US viewership records in 16 of 24 races. They were breaking their own records and still lost the broadcast rights to Apple. Apple valued their access to F1's 827 million global fans at 17 cents per fan per year. That's the cost of entry into the most globally distributed, youngest skewing sports property on Earth. The American experiment didn't just work, it revalued the entire asset. So where does a $20 billion economy go next? The calendar is capped at 24 races, not because logistics demand it, because scarcity is the product. Every new race slot that gets added increases the value of every existing one. Portugal joins in 2027 and 2028. Madrid is confirmed. The waiting list for a Grand Prix is longer than it has ever been. On the manufacturer side, Cadillac enters in 2026, Audi in 2026, Honda returns, Ford arrives as an engine partner. The sport that once had near-zero American relevance now has 3 American entities, a team, an engine partner, and a broadcaster, simultaneously committed. In 2025, Liberty Media acquired MotoGP. First full operational year estimates, $573 million in revenue. Operating income up 86%, fan attendance up 21%. Liberty isn't building a Formula One business, they're constructing a global motorsport media empire. Sponsorship revenue crossed 20% of total F1 income for the first time in 2025. LVMH, the parent company of Louis Vuitton, Moet & Chandon, and Hennessy, signed a 10-year partnership. A luxury conglomerate valued at nearly $300 billion looked at every global platform available to them and chose Formula One for a decade. When the world's most powerful luxury company bets on your platform for 10 years, that's not a sponsorship deal. That's a verdict. And here is the open question I'll leave you with. F1's three largest potential markets, the United States, China, and India, are each right now in radically different states of development. The US is newly converted. China took a 5-year gap after 2019. India has never had a permanent round. The machine was designed to compound. The data shows it compounding, and the three biggest markets it could still unlock are either partially engaged or virtually untouched.